Well, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio under fire following his divisive anti-cop rhetoric. Bill O'Reilly so fired up, he joins us now while on vacation to explain why de Blasio should step down immediately. Good morning to you, Bill. Thanks for being with us.
Sure, guys.
We know that in your heritage, your blood runs NYPD blue. Your grandfather protected this great city here with a badge right on his chest, and this is outrageous what is happening. What's de Blasio's best move in light of recent activity and murder?
Resignation. I mean, he's lost credibility. You'll see the polls come out. He'll be way, way down. Even the ardent leftists understand that you can't govern a city without the cooperation of the police department. And he's lost it, and he's not going to get it back. And there are four reasons. First of all is Al Sharpton. Once you throw in with a guy like that who's been anti-police for decades, that sends a message. The second thing is he told his son that you have to be careful when dealing with the NYPD because there's dangers. Yep. All right. And then not only did he tell his son that in private, he went out and he was proud of telling his son that. That's an insult. An insult. What you tell your son is you obey the police, and if there's a problem, you come to me and we'll take it up on the back end. That's what a mature parent does. All right. The third of the protesters, he did not condemn them when they screamed dead cops. You didn't hear him criticize them. Nope. And then when the two police lieutenants were beaten, he called it an alleged beating, even though you saw the beating on videotape.
Crazy.
Okay, so that's it. The cops know that he is anti-police. And his main job in the city is public safety. 8 million people in this city. And, out of the 8 million, there's maybe 800,000 that will hurt you badly. So Bill de Blasio has to resign. He's incompetent. He's demonstrated that. But now it's a public safety issue.
Well, if he doesn't resign, Bill, would you support a recall?
Yes, I would.
You say it's a public safety issue. Are you inferring that if he does not resign, we will see more killings of our own police officers here in New York City, that this could get more dangerous and this situation will escalate?
No, I don't think that will happen. But I do think that the police will not be as effective. Number one is demoralized. All right, so if you're demoralized on the job, no matter what job you have, you're not doing it as well as you could do it. Mm-hmm. And number two, in order to police this city effectively, as has been demonstrated over the last 25 years, you have to be aggressive. Sure. You have to be proactive. So now many police officers will not be proactive. They'll be reactive. So they're going to look the other way when the thugs are in the street unless the thugs are doing something heinous. Therefore, the quality of life in the city will decline. Look, this de Blasio never should have been elected in the first place. He doesn't have the skill set to run the city. You compare him to Giuliani and Bloomberg, it's like a single-A baseball player being called up to the majors.
Right. Or Koch. Now, I want to ask some, Bill. I mean, if you've been watching the show, I agree with you. But take the other side. People watch right now and say, okay, 4 white people talking about what life's like in New York City. What do we know about what life's like for minorities? And how can we speak about that? What's your reaction?
I mean, it's ridiculous. I was born in New York City. All right? I've covered the city as a journalist for decades. I know the city as well as anyone knows it. Am I poor? No. I'm not poor. But I'm very aware of the rhythms of the city and how people live. And poor people need the most protection.
Absolutely.
All right? They need the most protection. Mm-hmm. So these militants, these anti-American people, these anti-police people, the Sharptons of the world, the racial provocateurs who make money by dividing the races, they make money. All right? These people have the loud voices, but the voices of the law-abiding poor who want the police protection are not heard.
Right.
What about the fact yesterday that de Blasio had a press conference down at One Police Plaza with Commissioner Bratton at his side, and thankfully Commissioner Bratton is there for all of us. But he said he got angry, not at the protesters who said, you know, what do we want? We want dead cops, and not at the protesters who attacked the police officers. He got mad at the news media because we have pointed out, you know, the fact that he is anti-cop as a mayor. And those protesters, those ones you feature on TV, that's not the vast majority.
Yeah, he's sympathetic to the protesters. He allowed them to go far beyond what they should have gone by closing down bridges and highways and going into Macy's. That never should have happened. So we know that. Everybody knows that. But I believe that he is a man who lives in an ideological world, not the real world, all right? So it's all ideology for him. He thinks Al Sharpton's a patriot. He thinks he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. All right? This is a guy who threw in with the Castro brothers, the Sandinistas. I mean, he's really out there. Now, Bratton's another story. He's in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
The only thing holding the NYP together is Bratton. Mm-hmm. Bratton knows how to police. He's done the job in New York before. He's done it in Los Angeles. I think he's a good man. But he doesn't want to be fired because then the whole thing collapses. So Bratton's got to sit there. If you look at his body language and the expression on his face, I mean, he knows. He knows that the police officers are turning their back on the mayor, and he's getting damaged. Bratton knows that he himself is getting hurt by defending de Blasio. But I think he sees it as a lesser of two evils. He's got two choices. He can take the pain that he's getting now, or he can quit. And if he quit, the whole thing goes down the drain.
Right.
Interesting insight.
I actually don't think de Blasio can lose him, so therefore he has more leverage than he's actually using.
Perhaps, but you can't have a police chief fighting with the mayor. It would be like Nixon in the last days of his administration. De Blasio would have to fire him if Bratton came out and started to attack de Blasio.
All right, Bill O'Reilly joining us from his vacation. Please resume your vacation already in progress.
And go out and get Killing Patton. It's already #1 in the country. Thanks so much, Bill. Congratulations
all right, guys,
on the
Merry
book.
Christmas to everybody.
Okay, same to you.
Bye.